All right, you guys, it's been a long couple weeks, but I'm back. I'm sorry about I haven't uploaded a video, but we've got a little bit done. Took a few steps backwards and hopefully a couple more steps forward. The 12 horsepower motor that came with the COOT is a DOA. I don't know if I'm going to be able to salvage that. It had spark, it ran, we got it going, and I lost spark. And if you guys know, that solid state ignition, to buy that piece is like 300 bucks. I tried switching it over to electronic ignition, still can't get a spark. So I'm switching that out and I'm going with Briggs & Stratton 11 horse. It seems to fit in okay. What I've got going on today is got the hydraulic brakes on. I'm going to show you the mount that I used and how that worked, and I've got the brakes bled. So let's look at that. Alright, so this is the setup I ended up going with. I've built a bracket here, and it goes down and it actually bolts down to this plate down there, mounts that pretty firm. I got the wrong bolts, so I need to go down and get me some, I believe they were 10 millimeter bolts and put in there. So the brake line came in today and we've got that mounted, and it comes up to here, which is the stand. Well, this is what came with my COOT. I don't know if it's standard, but this is what was set up in it. Some kind of a weird brake lever. But what I did is mounted down here master cylinder. So we switched this over to hydraulic. So now I can work the brakes. It's pumping the fluid through the brake line and down to here. And as you can see, let's see if we can see that. You can see that clamping closed on that pad. So I think that's going to work. Let me show you that bracket. So on this side, the bracket comes down and I've got it bolted down here. I still got one more bolt to put in, but good 3/16 thick steel, and the plate for this hydraulic brake is back in here, and then it mounts to this thing. There's not a whole lot of room. Once you get down in here around the stuff, the center part of the brake itself, there's not a lot of room for one of these. I'll put a picture up of where I got those off of eBay. Both this piece, I'm not exactly sure the prices, I'll put those in there as well, but that piece and the master cylinder is in. And now the motor, as you can see, the original stock mounting places for the motor was over here and over here somewhere. I've ended up cutting those out and changing them out so you can kind of see there underneath the paint. There's the round old cutoff bolt. Got some new bolts put in and welded, and we're going to go with this engine right here, which I had to order a new carburetor for it, and that seems to work fine. We got the exhaust already fitted on, and that fits. The motor fits in, electronic ignition, it starts, electric start, and the only thing I got is I've got to wire the kill switch to go up to the key and the top of the spark plug. So as you guys know, these engines are, that 12 horse sits pretty short. So this engine sits up, I've got about that much that hits my seat. So I think what I'm going to do, rather than changing the seat mount, is take and do a 3-inch hole saw and go up through that thick wood that's on the seat, and not go all the way through it, but go up maybe an inch. I think that's up either 1 1/8 or 1 1/4, and that'll, so you won't fill the hole through the foam, but it'll still leave enough room to sit down and over top of this and give that enough room. I think that'll work. So I had that in, I pulled it back out because the original float that was in this motor, of course, there's probably some Chinese carburetor. I'm not sure. I'm sure it is, but there's no adjustment here. So when the seat went up in there and seated with the float, it wouldn't shut the fuel completely off. So well, you can't really see it down in there, but underneath here, there's this vent hole. So I was leaking gas through that. And when it was running, it wasn't leaking because it was sucking enough gas, but when it sat, it would just pour gas out of there. So I think I got that fixed, I hope. And let's see, we'll get that sets back down in there. I did run it with the in the COOT with the belt on, and I think I've got just about the right belt tension. So it drops down in there with the belt tension. I've still got to put the drive shaft on. I'm kind of waiting to get this brake done, which now I've got to run back down to town and buy the bolts. So yeah, I went on the deer hunt. I wasn't able to take the COOT on the deer hunt, which I was kind of bummed out about, but we did get a little deer, and pop a picture up there on that deer too. I wish I could have thrown him in the COOT and hauled him off the mountain, but I didn't. And I fixed the rust across the bottom on both sides. I've got a new plate put in there. Still have to do the holes to mount it to the floor. Then I can paint that piece up. And I've got the cover off the exhaust now. The exhaust that's in there absolutely perfect. The cover goes over it, doesn't hit, and it comes out just fine. On the gas tank, I ended up running a shut-off valve there. This picture's horrible. And then it just goes in and hooks with the filter and hooks into the new carburetor. And that seems to work. And all the time I've spent leaning over this thing, I'm starting to make it dirty. I guess it's going to get dirty eventually. So anyway, that's my update. That's where I'm at. So we got the brakes in and bled, and seems to be working. I'll get back with you when I got a little more going on.